relation between the two countries. Between India and China will affect the all important relation between the two countries, or the relation will break down, or it is will vulnerable.
थैंक यू। यू नो पिछले सालों में इंडिया चाइना के बीच में थिंग्स हैव नॉट बीन गुड एंड नॉट बीन ईजी। एंड इसका कारण, मुख्य कारण ये है कि हमारे बीच में कुछ अग्रीमेंट्स थी, सालों से थी, और ये लिखित माने ये कोई ऐसा कोई समझौता जो था माने कोई इनफॉर्मल नहीं था, बहुत स्पष्ट था। और ये था कि हमें अगर अपने बॉर्डर में पीस और ट्रैंक्विल, एक तो जब तक पड़ोसी हों आपस में, जब तक सीमा में पीस और ट्रैंक्विलिटी ना हो तो जो रिश्ते जो हैं आगे बढ़ने की संभावना नहीं है। तो ये उनको भी पता था, हमें भी पता था, इसीलिए। और अगर आप देखें जब से हमारी रिश्ते जो हैं नॉर्मलाइज हुए हैं, 62 में युद्ध हुआ था, उसके बाद 14 साल लगे हमें एक एम्बेसडर वापस भेजने में, उसके बाद 26 साल लगे 62 के बाद पहला प्रधानमंत्री गया, राजीव गांधी जी गए, चीन गए। और 93 में और 96 में 2 अग्रीमेंट्स हुई थी, उसके बाद भी हुई थी 2005, 6, 12, 13। और इसका जो निचोड़ ये था कि दोनों साइड जो हैं वो जो लाइन जो बनी है, क्योंकि हमारी सीमा जो है वो म्यूचुअली अग्रीड नहीं है, कि दोनों साइड जो हैं वो फौज कोई संख्या में फौज नहीं लाएंगे वहाँ, और अगर कोई मूवमेंट भी होगी इस संख्या से ज़्यादा वो दूसरे साइड को बताएंगे और तभी मिलिट्री मूवमेंट होगी। अब 2020 में इन्होंने चीनियों ने इसका उल्लंघन किया, और अग्रीमेंट होने के बावजूद वो बड़ी संख्या में वो लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल पे वो अपने मिलिट्री फोर्सेस लाए। और उसके बाद आप जानते हैं कि वो गलवान में वो घटना हुई, और अभी भी हमारी भी फौज वहाँ। और ये मोदी जी ने कोविड के समय में, जब आप जानते हैं पूरा लॉकडाउन चल रहा था उस समय देश में, तो लॉकडाउन के स्थिति में तब भी हमने मिलिट्री मूवमेंट की, बहुत माने बड़ी संख्या में मिलिट्री मूवमेंट की। और तब से हमारी फोर्सेस भी हैं वहाँ, उनकी फोर्सेस भी हैं, आमने सामने हैं वहाँ। तो हम तो चाहते हैं, ये तो हमने तो किया नहीं है, पर अगर हमारी सीमा में फ़ौज आए तो हमें तो अपना डिफेंस तो देखना ही होगा। तो हमारी जो अप्रोच है उनको, और ये मैंने खुद मेरे जो काउंटर पार्ट हैं उनको समझाया है कि जब तक आप बॉर्डर में इसका कुछ सोल्यूशन नहीं निकालेंगे, और अगर ये आमने सामने फोर्सेस ऐसे ही रहेंगे और उस तनाव रहेगा, तो आपको ये अपेक्षा नहीं रखनी चाहिए कि बाकी रिश्ते जो हैं वो माने नॉर्मल तरीके से चलेंगे, वो असंभव है। तो ये नहीं है कि आप यहाँ झगड़ा करो और वहाँ बिजनेस करो, ये माने इसको आप ऐसा लाइन नहीं कर सकते। तो आगे देखना होगा, अब डिप्लोमेसी जारी है, तो कभी कभी जो ऐसी मुश्किल स्थिति जो है वो एक जल्दीबाजी में इसका उपाय नहीं निकलता, तो हम लगे हुए हैं इसमें।
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम है दिलीप कामदार। आई रिप्रेजेंट अ ग्रुप ऑफ हॉस्पिटैलिटी बिजनेस वियतनाम। सर, in 1927 Mao said political power flows from a barrel of a gun. About 50 years later, the same country probably started saying political power flows from the barrel of an economic gun. But sir, all to your credit and to the current Prime Minister, we must say that India has been winning friends and influencing nations across the world over last few years. What is the new paradigm, sir?
You know, I think power flows from many barrels. And not, economic barrel, I agree with you, especially because I think we have not given it the kind of attention that we should. That today, if you look at the last 10 years, I'm sure many of you would be from the business world. You would have seen in your own companies or maybe in companies people producing things in India which they were importing from outside. It was possible for us to have produced it even before. It is possible for us to produce even more in the future. But we need, we need a leadership and a vision and a national commitment that, when I go around, somebody today asked me how many countries have I been to. I have not counted, but I know it is more than 100. And I have lived in 8 countries in my life. I see in many countries, people take great pride saying, this is made in my country, this is my product. Jo gift jo dete hain, bahar jate hain. People will give you, most countries will give you a gift which is made by them. So, until we increase our production, until we as Indian consumers also buy our production, we will not grow our industry. Now, it will not be easy to do because business people will say, sir, वो China में 15% कम या 50% कम पे मिल रहा है, तो मैं यहाँ से क्यों खरीदूँ? And they have a point because as a business person, you will say, I'm not doing national duty, I'm doing business. But even for business, I would say in the long term, you have to think, how long are we going to depend on other countries and their cheap machinery? Because one thing we saw in COVID, you remember, मैं January 2020 की बात कर रहा हूँ. We were looking at that period before the lockdown. That time there were 5 or 6 ministers. I was one of them. Prime Minister told us, you are the group dealing with COVID. हमारे health minister थे Dr. Harshvardhan. So under him, so myself, Hardeep Puri ji, Mansukh Mandviya ji, there were 2 others. Now, when we actually examined what was our capability of dealing with COVID, उस समय ना मास्क बन रहे थे, ना PPE बन रहे थे, ना वेंटिलेटर बन रहे थे, ना दवाई बन रही थी. I mean, we were looking actually at a state of manufacturing in India which was truly frightening. And we asked people saying, अच्छा कहाँ से लाएं? They said, oh, there is one source, आप जाइए वहाँ. अब पूरी दुनिया वहाँ गई. And those people raised price double, triple. There were things they raised price 10 times. They would cancel contracts because the new rate they were getting was much better than the damage of the cancellation of the contract. So, and we are not the only people who experience this. Many other countries in the world have experienced. So we have to understand today, after COVID, Sasta Mal will not be the basis of economics anymore, of international economics. Many people would say, I would rather maybe pay more, maybe have more expensive, but at least it is mine, I control it, it is made in my country. Or a Korea saying, देखो वो कहाँ थे, कहाँ पहुँच गए, they make so many things. You don't become world leader immediately in some area. You have to grow step by step. But to do that, we have to somewhere build up our economic strength. Without economic strength, because I hear this argument sometimes saying, we are not capable of manufacturing. Okay, if we cannot manufacture, I can tell you we will never be technology leaders in anything, because you cannot say I will be good in technology but I'll have no manufacturing. So, and if you are not good in technology, that means in the race of the next 100 years you are giving up. And same, the other part, I would say another barrel is a very important barrel, cultural barrel. That countries also make just, like you came and said, my brand is this. Countries also have a branding, and countries' branding is their culture. That we, if you see, we often very readily accept what is a cultural practice of some other country. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not against other cultures. But I would say we should also practice and propagate our own culture. So today, I see the results. First time when Prime Minister Modi proposed कि हम UN में जाएं and we move this International Day of Yoga. I don't know how many people took it very seriously. I mean, even I would say honestly, even I was only half convinced इसका क्या परिणाम होगा, कितना impact होगा. Today, when I see how much in 10 years, how mainstream it has become across the world. There are many, even our wellness practices, that if there are many things we will take, we will do it at home. Somewhere to other people, it looks very strange because we have never made an effort to explain to them what is, may not even be Ayurveda, it may even be daily practices that we follow. So in fact, somebody today asked me even about festival, saying, पूरी दुनिया जो है Christmas मनाती. Nothing wrong with it, but we should make an effort. पूरी दुनिया दिवाली भी मनाए. Your black shirt.
Yeah.
तिब्बत का गवर्नमेंट हमारे यहाँ वी हैव द तिब्बत गवर्नमेंट इन एग्जाइल एंड फाइनली चाइना इज द अगर इंडिया को जियो पॉलिटिक्स में राइज करना है दैट इज द गोरिल्ला इन द रूम हाउ डू वी काउंटर इट एंड व्हाट आर वी डूइंग इन इलेक्शन इन ताइवान मे बी हेल्पिंग तिब्बत फ्री मानसरोवर अपने यहाँ कब वापस आएगा एंड सो ऑन.
Long question, I'll give you a very short answer. Buy my book. You'll get all the answers there.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, sir. This is Samir Deshkar, and I'm professor in Vishwamanthan National Institute of Technology. One of the major sector through which the relationship between the countries get reflected is education. We have many young minds migrating to countries. In fact, that's the first reason we migrate and then settle and on the job. So in the changing times, how do you see the academic diplomacy working? Which are the new directions that are taking shapes, and how the Indian institutions should prepare to align themselves with this changing academic diplomacy?
I think it's a very good question because, at any given time, there are right now about, I would say, 12 to 13 lakh Indian students studying abroad. Okay. I'm not, if you just look, forget about other things, you look even at the revenue implications of it. But here is the problem. If we do not have adequate capacities, why do people go abroad? Not everybody goes completely out of choice also. People also go out of compulsion. If we do not create capacities within our own country, then that itself is a problem. So expanding our education, I would say infrastructure, to me is a very, very big priority, because if we are to sustain, not just sustain, but deepen growth, create, and some of it we can already see. One of the big changes again last 10 years is if you look at patent filings in India, it has gone up tremendously. But if you are to do all this, become technology leaders in different domains, because we are looking at a world, as I said, of AI, of EV, of green technologies. So in such a world, expanding facilities. Number two, more collaboration, because there is a disconnect between our academic world and the world. So if we are, because it's also in a way good for us to have people, there is a global demand also for people. You know, not everybody going abroad may settle. We are finding more and more people going on 5-year visas, doing a job, coming back. So to me, more institutions, improving quality of institutions, that is also very big because our quality is very, very uneven. Then more international collaboration, more international students in India. Our international student numbers are very low compared to the, so that they also learn more about India. Then tying the education much more closely than we have normally done to employment. And looking at education not only in terms of college degree, but looking at it in terms of skills and, you know, anything which will make you ready for the workplace. I think some progress has been made with the new education policy, but you know, the notifications have just happened. We'll have to see in the next few years how this unfolds. But I would say, given how much more technology-centric world will be, technology-centric actually means people-centric, because you are interestingly transferring a lot of your knowledge onto something inanimate. And to me, that means much more focus on high-skilled human resources. I think that is really where I feel the future of our country's leadership lies.
Also in that context, you may like to add that now IITs are opening campuses.
Yes, we've had two IITs so far go abroad, but I see a lot of private universities also do the same. So and sometimes, in fact, you know, it's very interesting. In the last 2 or 3 years, many countries want agreements with us for mobility of people. They are talking, and these are, you know, countries like Germany, Italy, UK, who would like, because of workplace demands, to provide mobility, easy movement of people from one country to other. I think because, I mean, given our demographics, given our skills, I think this is also an opportunity. And of course, frankly, as Indian businesses grow, as India's growth rate enhances, as prosperity, you know, is not limited to big cities, I think that also will create a demand in India itself. Because see, the honest thing, the fact is, a lot of people, if they get opportunity at home, why will you take the trouble to go into a foreign environment?
I always, yeah, maybe this.
Hello, I am Aditi Godbole and I am currently pursuing BTech. So my question was, as we all know that we are the 5th largest economy and globally emerging leaders, but despite of all of this, most number of Indian passports were surrendered last year as compared to the previous years. So why do you think that we as a country face this problem of brain drain, or why do you think people still suffer from the colonial mindset?
So, you know, it's a very difficult question to answer in very broad terms, because I told you we have today about 1.2, 1.3 million students who study abroad. Some of them come back to India, some of them don't come back to India. There are people who go as professionals, spend some time. Now, many of them make their judgments. Often, there are countries where if you keep a foreign passport, your work opportunities are less, or your, I don't know, maybe your income tax is more.
or the relation will break.
It is a personal choice which people make India. Also the fact, but again, that I would say this, Indians we should not think are working of going abroad as necessarily as a negative. That in the foreign if you look at right now we are having I know every year how many passports in this Red Sea area, because missiles are being fired and some ships are being hit in number of passports. Because one of my concerns was today because when I met some of the big shipping companies of the world abroad. Now, how many Indians are working with shipping companies? That in fact, the head of the biggest shipping company, so there are a variety told me that is number one nationality of employment is Indian. In a democracy, so we are also we should also take pride to choices are, that because that is in the hospitality business, our life in the even in India, aviation business, in the shipping business. That I respect Indians are India, today when you go abroad, you have to listen to take employment to make their contributions. But the best for us, wherever they work, it is a plus. Best answer for that is really how do we provide more and better employment opportunities in India. But again, I would say this: we should not think of going abroad as necessarily as a negative.
Hello,
if you
good afternoon, sir. I am Rajesh Salpekar. I am
right
a final year law student at the National Law University of Nagpur. Now, recently, sir, we have seen that there is some rift with Maldives, and the Out India campaign was the undertone lying underneath. So my question is, how does India always ensure that its interests are furthered, irrespective of the global change in governments?
That in fact, the head of the biggest shipping company, that is what we are trying to do. Number one nationality of employment is part of what we call neighborhood first policy. We should also take but pride that said, politics is politics. In the hospitality business, so in the I cannot aviation business, guarantee that in every country, in every day, everybody will support us or agree with us to make their contributions. Seriously, as a solution, it is a plus. What we are trying to do, and I would say in last 10 years with lot of success, is to build, I would say, a very, very strong connect, so that though the politics may go up and down, the people of that country, the society generally has
recently, sir, we have seen
good
that
feelings
there
towards
is some
India
rift
and
with
understands the importance
the Out India campaign
of
was
having
the
good
undertone
relations
lying
with India.
underneath.
So how do
my
you do
question
this?
is, how does India always ensure that its interests
it
are
means
furthered,
in practical
irrespective of
ways
the
is
global
that
change in government?
let us say we are involved today in building roads, what we are electricity transmission as part of supplying fuel, in providing trade access, in making investments, in having people holiday in other countries. I cannot all these guarantee that in every country how you develop every day relationships. Everybody will support us or agree. We have to, as I said, sometimes seriously as a solution, not in a good way. And we are trying. Then you have to, in my business, you have to reason with people and try to bring things back to where they should be. To build, I would say, a very, very strong.
I have one question in this context.
So that
in
though the politics may go up and
tenure
down,
as a
the people of that
secretary and then
country,
now
the
as a minister
society
for the last 9 years,
generally
can you
has
highlight three or
good feelings
four
towards India and understands the
biggest
importance
achievement of India's foreign policy
of having
which
good
will
relations
have
with India.
very long
So how do you
impact?
do this? What it means in practical ways is, I would say, let us say, I'm not saying it in any particular order because we, some recent memories there. I would say one transmission, how much in supplying fuel today our relationship has changed in the Gulf, and it was most visible when the UAE president came just now to Gujarat. That we historically, for centuries had close relations because the monsoon would bring people up and down. But if you see today how many Indians work there, there are about almost a crore Indians who work in the Gulf. Not just who work in the Gulf, the fact that actually during COVID, the Gulf countries looked after them in a very special manner.
3 or 4
Today, if you look at the trade,
achievements
you look
India's
at
foreign
the,
policy, which will have
I would say, the political and security confidence. But most of all, if you look at the way they see us, the respect. And next month we will be seeing the opening of the of a temple, Swaminarayan temple in Abu Dhabi. And to me, that's a very profound change in how that region looks at us. A second change, I would say, would actually be US. US has been changing from the time of Atalji. That some of you may remember, उनके समय में President Clinton आए थे, and from that time, what was frankly a very difficult, almost negative relationship from 1947 till for 50 years. It started changing under Atalji. It continued thereafter. We saw the nuclear deal. But this time meaning last June, when I went with Modi ji to US, I felt there is a difference in the way in which America views India today. That the levels of how we dealt with each other is more equal. That they recognize the importance that particularly India holds for the technology world, and that the enthusiasm of American business for India has also changed. They were never very strong there. Because you asked me where has it changed. Another country which has changed tremendously is Australia. But in Australia, in fact, for some reason, even now, I don't fully understand why the Australia relationship really was neglected. But after many years, Prime Minister went there in 2014, and today, in fact, you look at it, Australia is one country which is. There will be some very smaller countries again where things have changed, but I would say today there will be a number of relationships where, see, for every country you need one most reliable friends. Okay, little bit less. But the more you have a group of people, group of countries who will support you on issues that are very, very important for you, it makes a very big difference. So, some years ago, because you asked me where has it changed, when Article 370, the abrogation took place. In Australia, in fact, for some reason, two countries, I will not name them, two countries made an effort to take it to the UN Security Council. Relationship really was what surprised them was, but UN Security Council के 15 members, 5 are the permanent, 10 are non-permanent. We were not members. Australia is one. So, in a sense, your case was being heard, but you are not in the room. Some very, smaller. But it was very interesting that actually have changed, but a large number of countries who these two countries did not expect. See, for every country, very clearly stood up and said, why we brought this issue? This is India's internal affairs. So we should not be discussing it. So we will not agree to it. Little bit less. So even today, the more they may be very small. Group of countries, population-wise, issues that are very, very. Some of them may be very small countries. In one case, it was a country with whom we did not even have an ambassador. So some years ago, I promised them that day that I said, look, I will make an embassy, I will send an ambassador, I will come personally there to thank you.
Two countries,
But
I will not
this,
name them.
you know, how to
Two
build
countries made an effort to take it to the
internal
UN Security
diplomacy is very human. Okay. How to build this
Council. What
relationship,
surprised them was,
look after them. You have to do
UN
things
Security
for them
Council के 15 member होते हैं,
also.
and 5 are the
For
permanent.
us today,
10 are non-permanent.
I would say
we were not
what we
members,
did during COVID,
of the
that
council.
by giving
So,
vaccines
in a sense,
to
your
almost
case
100
was being
countries.
heard, but you are not in the.
There are many countries in the world,
but
you know,
it was very interesting
because that ehsan chukana is a very natural
large
human
number of
habit.
countries who
And
these two
that
countries
is
did
something
not
we should, that is why I argue
very
that,
clearly stood
you know,
up.
we should be
said, you know,
in
why
many
we brought
ways
this issue? This is
generous to
India's
others.
internal affairs.
It's a
So
good
we
thing
should
we are
not be
doing, but it
discussing
is
it. So
also
we
a way
will not,
by which we serve our
our own interests.
even today, you know, they may be very small, you know, population wise. Some of them may be very small countries.
सर हमारी
You know,
सनातनी
in
व्यवस्था
one case, it
पुरुषार्थ
was a
की है
country with whom we did not even have an
और उस
ambassador.
व्यवस्था के अंतर्गत
So,
यदि हम
I
मुफ्तखोरी को
promised them
और
that day
फ्री
that
बांटने
I said,
वाली
look, I
व्यवस्था
will-
को यदि
I
बढ़ावा
will
मिलता है जो पिछले 20
Make an
साल में बहुत
embassy, I
ज्यादा
will send
मिला
an ambassador, I will come
तो
personally
जो
there.
पुरुषार्थ
to thank
करने
you.
वाले लोग हैं उसकी निराशा को आप
This,
लोग कैसे
you know,
डील
how
करेंगे
to build, internal diplomacy is very human.
देखिए
How to build this
ऐसा है,
relationship.
मैं
look after
जो
them.
आपकी
You
बात
have
है
to
मैं
do
बिल्कुल
things for them
समझता
also.
हूँ,
You know.
पर
And,
मैं
for
आपको
us today,
ये भी कहूँगा
I would
कि
say what we
जो,
did during COVID, that by giving vaccines to
अगर
almost
आप
100 countries,
पूरे देश
there are
को
many
आप
countries in the
समा
world.
परिवार की तरह देखें,
Because
हम सब चाहते हैं कि
एहसान चुकाना
परिवार
is a
में
very-
कोई
very
पीछे न छूट जाए।
natural human habit.
सबके कहीं न कहीं
That is something we should.
ये नहीं
that
है
is
कि
why I argue that
कोई आलसी था या निकम्मा था, कुछ लोगों को
generous to
अपॉर्चुनिटी
others.
मिलती नहीं।
it's a good thing we are doing, but it is
तो
also a way
जो
by
ये
which we serve
जो
our-
ये समावेशी जो अप्रोच जो है कि क्योंकि मैंने ये देखा है, देखिए मैं मुझे पॉलिटिक्स में उतना समय नहीं हुआ है, पर तब भी जब मैं जाता हूँ और
सर
खासकर
हमारी
मुझे
सनातनी व्यवस्था
मुझे
पुरुषार्थ की
एक
है
जिला की जिम्मेदारी दी है वहाँ गुजरात में।
अंतर्गत यदि हम
मेरा
मुफ्तखोरी
अनुभव
को और
है
फ्री
कि
बांटने
आप
वाली व्यवस्था
थोड़ा
को यदि
लोगों को
बढ़ावा
हेल्प
मिलता है,
करें,
जो पिछले 20 साल
वो
में
खुद
बहुत ज्यादा
उनको
मिला।
उस हेल्प से कितना वो आगे
पुरुषार्थ
उनकी
करने
सामर्थ्य
वाले लोग हैं,
निकल
उसकी
दिखाई
निराशा
देती
को
है।
आप
और
लोग
जब तक
कैसे
आपने
डील
उनको वो चांस नहीं दिया, आपको पता भी नहीं था कि उस लड़की में या उस लड़के में वो टैलेंट।
आपकी बात है मैं
तो
बिल्कुल
मैं
समझता
कहूँगा कि एक
पर मैं
अंग्रेजी में
आपको
कहते हैं ना कि
ये भी कहूँगा
इक्वल
कि
अपॉर्चुनिटी,
जो
हमें अपॉर्चुनिटी का भी देखना चाहिए कि आप इसको समझिए
अगर
कि
आप
जितना
पूरे देश को आप
अब ये मुद्रा लोन जो
परिवार
है,
की तरह देखें।
अब
हम सब
और
चाहते हैं कि
एक और भी लोन
परिवार में
प्रोग्राम है
कोई
स्वानिधि,
पीछे न छूट जाए।
ये अनसिक्योर्ड लोन्स,
कहीं ना कहीं
पर इसकी रीपेमेंट रेट से
ये
आप
नहीं है
हैरान
कि
होंगे
कोई
कि ये नहीं
आलसी
कि
था
लोग
या
पैसा लेके
निकम्मा
भाग
था,
जाते,
कुछ लोगों को
इसकी
opportunity
रीपेमेंट
मिलती
रेट माने 85% 90% तो अनसिक्योर्ड लोन पे।
जो
तो
ये समावेशी
मैं
जो
कहूँगा कि
approach जो है,
भरोसा करिए देश में।
क्योंकि मैंने ये देखा है, देखिए मैं मुझे पॉलिटिक्स में उतना समय नहीं हुआ,
So last
तब भी
two
मैं
questions
जब
for
मैं जाता हूँ और
one with
खासकर मुझे
light
मुझे एक
mobile.
जिला की
Yeah, please go
जिम्मेदारी
ahead. Go
दी है
ahead.
वहाँ गुजरात में। मेरा अनुभव है कि आप थोड़ा लोगों को हेल्प करें, वो खुद उनको उस हेल्प से कितना वो आगे उनकी सामर्थ्य निकलती है।
सर नमस्कार, मैं अमर इंदुर।
और जब तक आपने उनको वो चांस
आप
नहीं
भारत के लिए, भारत
आपको
के
पता
विकास
भी
के
नहीं
लिए
था
सभी
कि
मोर्चे पर लड़ रहे हैं।
उस
इसी
लड़के
समय
में या उस
आपको
लड़के में
भारतीय
वो
समाज से क्या
talent-
अपेक्षा है
तो मैं कहूँगा
और
कि
आपका स्वदेशी के बारे में
अंग्रेजी
क्या
में
मत
कहते हैं ना
है?
कि equal
और आखिरी
opportunity।
प्रश्न,
हमें
हम
opportunity
पीओके
का
कब
भी
घूमने जा सकते हैं?
कि आप इसको समझिए कि जितना अब ये मुद्रा
जो-
लोन जो अब
नहीं
और
जो देखिए
एक और भी लोन
स्वदेशी
प्रोग्राम
के
है,
बारे में
स्वामी
मैंने पहले भी कुछ
unsecured
बातें
loans
रखी थी कि
पर
मुझे
इसकी
लगता है
repayment
कि
rate से आप हैरान होंगे।
जो ये जो
कि ये नहीं कि लोग पैसा लेके भाग
आत्मनिर्भर भारत है
इसकी रीपेमेंट रेट
या मेक इन इंडिया है,
90%
वोकल फॉर लोकल
Unsecured
है,
loan पे।
या ये विश्वकर्मा
मैं कहूँगा कि
प्रोग्राम जो है कि
भरोसा करिए
अगर
देश
हम लोग जो हैं अपनी परंपरा, अपने इतिहास, अपनी संस्कृति को
last
नहीं
two
पहचानेंगे
questions
तो हम कैसे मान के चलें कि दुनिया पहचानेगी?
Mobile.
कि
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
अगर
Go ahead.
नहीं सर, मैं देखिए मेरा अनुभव है कि मैं पिछले मुझे विदेश सेवा में 41 साल हुए मैं जब भी जाता
नमस्कार, मैं अमर इंदु।
कोई मुझे कोई
आप
डॉल
भारत
दे
के
देते
लिए,
थे
भारत के
कि ये
विकास के
देखिए
लिए
हमारे
सभी मोर्चे
यहाँ
पर लड़ रहे हैं।
वेरी वेरी हाई
इस
एंड
समय
डॉल
आपको
सालों
भारतीय
से बन
समाज
रहा
से
है।
क्या अपेक्षा
या
है?
कोई बॉक्स होता था
और
या कोई प्लेट
आपका
होता था,
स्वदेशी के बारे में
या कोई
क्या
कुछ
मत है?
कपड़ा होता, कोई
और
फैब्रिक
आखिरी
होता
प्रश्न,
था।
हम पीओके कब घूमने जा सकते हैं?
मुझे हर समय लगा कि भाई ये दे तो रहे हैं, कितने गर्व के साथ दे रहे हैं, जो मुझे भी उसी सिचुएशन में होना चाहिए, और कभी कभी हम होते भी थे। स्वदेशी के बारे में मैंने पिछले सालों में कुछ हमने ये निर्णय लिया है कि जो भी हम देंगे है कि ये हम जो वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट है उसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं, या जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे जब मैं गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो मैं गुजरात के जो विश्वकर्मा वहाँ का जो ट्रेडिशन क्राफ्ट वर्क, अगर हम लोग जो क्लॉथ वर्क जो है वो मैं देता था, और मैं लोगों को समझाता था कि ये क्या को नहीं पहचानेंगे। ये तो हम जो है इकोनॉमिक्स कहीं ट्रेडिशन कल्चर के इकोनॉमिक्स प्रोडक्शन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, मेरा अनुभव ये सबका एक कनेक्शन बनता है। जब हम आत्मनिर्भरता की बात करते हैं विदेश सेवा में, ये 41 साल एक किस्म से एक माइंडसेट जाता था। तो जब हम कहते हैं कि भारत डॉल दे देते थे, भारत जो है ये हमारे यहाँ ये डिस्क्रिप्शन नहीं है ना इतिहास, सालों से भारत एक किस्म से एक माइंडसेट, कोई बॉक्स कि हम क्या, या कोई प्लेट होता था, तो हम चाहेंगे कि ये खासकर युवा पीढ़ी में ये माइंडसेट जो है कि मुझे हर समय अपने कल्चर हेरिटेज ट्रेडिशन पे वो गर्व के साथ दे रहे हैं, और मुझे भी ये ट्रेडिशन और टेक्नोलॉजी इनकी कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन नहीं है। पिछले सालों में हम ट्रेडिशन के बेसिस पे जो भी हम टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत को विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है उसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं, या जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे जब मैं गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो मैं गुजरात के जो वहाँ का जो ट्रेडिशन क्राफ्ट वर्क जो क्लॉथ वर्क जो है वो मैं जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है, ये उसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं इकोनॉमिक्स का जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे जब मैं गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो
नंबर लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एंड माय क्वेश्चन टू यू मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर इज अबाउट
जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है, ये उसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे मैं गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो
नंबर लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एंड माय क्वेश्चन टू यू मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर इज अबाउट
जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है, इसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे मैं गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो
नंबर लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एंड माय क्वेश्चन टू मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर इज अबाउट
जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है, इसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो
नंबर लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एंड माय क्वेश्चन टू मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर इज अबाउट
जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है, इसके प्रोडक्ट्स जो हमारे यहाँ, जैसे गुजरात का संसद सदस्य बना तो
नंबर लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एंड माय क्वेश्चन मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर इज अबाउट
जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट है, इसके
लाने के लिए विजय जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। एंड माय क्वेश्चन मिस्टर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर इज अबाउट
जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से भारत का विकसित वन प्रोडक्ट
we have very
do water
checks
connection
in,
to all the houses.
future to do.
Now, many of our companies have become so proficient. We have today, as part of credit loan which they have taken from us, there is a project connecting 28 cities of Tanzania, the water connection. So, when I was driving around in Tanzania for them, I was the minister who they associate with water coming to their homes. Okay. We opened our first IIT actually in Africa, and we opened it in Africa deliberately because we want this for all the African students to become a premier institution, so that the top engineers of Africa can say, yes, I was trained by an Indian institution. So it is not that, we have also in many ways tried to advance our interests. So it is not the same in all parts of Africa, because East Africa is closer to India. So if you look at South Africa, Mozambique, Kenya, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, in fact, if you go to many of these countries, in Ethiopia, almost everybody in Ethiopia will tell you, I was taught by an Indian teacher, because there are so many Indian teachers who have gone in contracts over many, many years to Ethiopia. The issue for us comes back to this, because I'm taking now a bigger view of your question. See, world is competitive, life is competitive. If you are doing well, I can say, yaar, ye kar raha hai, he is dominating. I can keep grumbling. If I am serious, I have to be ready to contest. If you have to be ready to contest, you have to first get your home in order. You have to get, the country moving. You have to get infrastructure. You have to get manufacturing. You have to get good governance. It is with that you have today. I would say after 10 years, we have a better ability to compete. We have things in India. Other people look at us today. One African president actually asked me, because he was very interested about how these payments, direct payments hote na to people's banks. And then he himself said, look, we have the same system, and he used the same word, hamare yahan itni leakage hoti hai. So I had to say that, how we have today stopped these leakages. So I think today we have experiences. People do see what we have done. There is one thing which people feel about us, especially in Africa. They feel that Indians have a large heart, that even at a time when we ourselves were dealing with COVID, we were willing to help. So they don't think they are here only as a that I think we have today, जो प्रधानमंत्री कहते हैं, that try to establish yourself as a Vishwa Mitra. I think that is today what we are trying to do, and the stronger we are at home, I can tell you, the more success I will have abroad. So thank you.
So friends, this conversation can go for many more hours, but we have to stop somewhere. And it's time to stop. He has to catch a flight, and next time we will have one more session like this. But and tomorrow he is flying to a very interesting country, Iran. So I am sure there are people who want to interact with him before he flies out. So we will have to take a hard stop here. One thing I always say in these kind of sessions, that what is the biggest achievement of Prime Minister Modi as far as foreign policy is concerned and Indian citizens are concerned. And I say that Prime Minister Modi has democratized Indian foreign policy. Otherwise, it was supposed to be the people who are wearing the black tie and English suit, and only those with a very accented English had rights of commenting about foreign policy. But now I have been very fortunate to engage with him at a various platforms in many other cities. And everywhere the amount of curiosity and amount of knowledge that people have about the foreign policy, and the questions that have come from all of you also shows that how much you have read about it or aware of it. The credit goes great to Prime Minister Modi and of course the proponent of that foreign policy, Dr. Jaishankar. So we are really very happy to be here around, and thank you, Dr. Jaishankar ji, for giving your valuable time. We know that he has many more things to do for India and for country. And on behalf of all of us, thank you very much. and I hope that we will continue these engagements in future. Thank you.
I request all the guests to remain seated so that our eminent minister can leave the premises. Thank you. Please remain seated. Okay. We will kindly stand up for the national anthem.
Janagana Mana
सर्वप्रथम श्री चैतन्येश्वर करतो आणि त्यांच्या जय हिंद. मांग के ले गया जैसा उसका
3D printer. Right. बघा इथून कशा कशा बसेस जातात.